Hey, what's up you guys, it's Sophie, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about apartments. I've had some questions for you guys in terms of finding an apartment in New York City, living on your own for the first time, dealing with kind of different apartment application processes, how you find one, and things like that. So I wanted to go over all of that in this video, and as you guys may know, I have been living in this apartment right here since last August, and it was my first time not living in a dorm, living off campus, and I'm going to be moving to a different apartment in a few months, and so I thought I would talk through that process. And there's a couple of different ways you can go about getting an apartment. Obviously this is really specific to New York City. I'm sure a lot of these things apply to other cities as well, but I can only speak from my experience, and all I've ever known is living in New York City. So in terms of finding an apartment, the two ways you can go about it are having a broker and having a fee, or having a no-fee apartment. Sorry, that was my phone. So basically, if you go through a broker, the process is going to be a lot easier for you because the broker will find different apartments that are really suited to your needs. They will take you on tours. You won't have to do a lot of the legwork of finding an apartment, of scheduling tours, of dealing with, landlords and things like that. The brokers will really take care of that process for you. And in exchange, you have to pay them a broker fee. And the broker fee is usually, it depends based on the broker, but a standard thing would be 1 month's rent would be like a good amount for a broker's fee. And obviously they vary. A lot of them do it in percentages of a year's rent and things like that. But as a standard general rule, a 1 month's rent broker's fee is pretty standard. So that is what you are going to expect if you use a broker. And for this apartment, I did use a broker, and I wish I hadn't used a broker, but I was very naive in terms of finding this apartment. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I kind of got like accidentally roped into using this broker, and I wish I hadn't, because I could have gotten this apartment for no fee. So it's something to keep in mind. If you are looking to live somewhere for more than a year, I think a broker is a worthy investment. For example, my brother has a 2-year lease on his apartment, and he used a broker, and that makes the fee a lot more worth it when you're staying somewhere for more than a year, because then if you were to use a broker every time and you kept moving every year, obviously those fees would get very expensive, versus if you were locked in for more than a year's contract, it makes a lot more sense to use a broker. On the other hand, you can do a no-fee apartment, and if you go on apartment sites like StreetEasy, like Naked Apartments, things like that, the apartments will be listed as fee or no fee, meaning you have to pay a broker's fee or this is a no-fee apartment. So if you don't use a broker, you can use those kinds of websites to find apartments, and that's always what I use. StreetEasy is the best one in terms of like specifying different parameters, like you can say what neighborhood, and if you need a dishwasher, and if you need laundry, and if you need to be close to the subway, and you can really specify a lot of different things on StreetEasy. And some other good ones are Naked Apartments. I know someone who used one called Triple Mint that they liked. I know there's like Zillow. There's a lot of different apartment websites. Like literally, if you Google like New York City apartments, like all the different websites will come up. But StreetEasy, I think, is a really great one. And so those are kind of the two like options you can go down in terms of finding an apartment. And then you will need to fill out like applications for that apartment a lot of the time. So for this apartment, we had to fill out some applications in terms of like our guarantors. So basically, if you don't know, if you don't have an income or like a large enough income to pay for your apartment, you have to have guarantors. And basically, a lot of times apartments will either ask you for you have to be making either 40 times the amount of the apartment or 80 times. So like if you were finding an apartment, your income would have to be 80 times the amount of that apartment, which is kind of crazy for a lot of people. So a lot of people have like their parents or somebody as a guarantor that will sign on, that they can kind of pool all their income together and say like, I am responsible for making sure this person pays this rent. So a lot of times students, if they're living off campus for the first time, will usually have guarantors that are their parents, and it's more like just kind of a contract with the apartment building to make sure that you are able to pay the rent even though your income is not technically high enough to pay the rent. So you have to fill out a lot of applications in terms of guarantor applications, making sure all the money is there. A lot of times you'll have to put down a security deposit. With most places you'll have to put down a security deposit, which could also be like half of a month's rent or a month's rent or something like that. And then you'll pay like on top of that like a month's rent up front for the apartment. So that's kind of like how you go about like finding it and everything like that. I know some people were asking me like the best neighborhoods to live in. That's totally your personal preference. In terms of like, for me, I really wanted to be close to work in terms of the apartment I'm looking for now. So like right now I walk to work, which is really, really nice, and I love not having to take the subway. And so I'm looking for an apartment where I can continue to walk to work, and so I'm looking to kind of stay in the area that I'm in right now. I live in the East Village. I absolutely love it. and I would like to stay kind of in this general vicinity. You know, it just depends what is important to you. I know a lot of friends who love Brooklyn, who live in Williamsburg or Bushwick, who love Brooklyn. I know a lot of, you know, some people like to live in Chelsea. A lot of recent college graduates like to live in Murray Hill or Kips Bay. That's a really popular area to look in if you're a recent graduate, because it has like pretty nice buildings, like doorman buildings, nice amenities, but it's not as expensive because it's kind of like not on a lot of main subway lines and things like that. So a lot of recent college grads go to that area. East Village is also really popular for college students or recent college grads. Next year I would love to live like in Chelsea, but it's really like all personal preference, obviously. I know a lot of people live in the financial district also, because you can get a pretty nice apartment and a pretty nice apartment for the same price as like a pretty terrible apartment, you know, like in the Village or something like that, if you go all the way down to the financial district. So that kind of stuff is just based on, you know, where you work, where you go to school, your personal preference in terms of what subway line you want to be on. You know, there's not one good or one bad neighborhood that, you know, I would recommend or not recommend. If you're in Manhattan, you're doing pretty well. So yeah, that's kind of like everything in terms of apartment hunting. Also, be prepared in terms of when you are touring and looking at apartments, be prepared if you love an apartment to sign the lease for it right away, because apartments in New York City go like that. Like, you have to, if you don't sign and you wait 2 hours, that apartment's probably gone. So you have to be really like aggressive and competitive about it in terms of like, you have to make the decision to sign it right away, otherwise you're going to lose that apartment. Obviously, before you move in, you want to ask all of the important questions in terms of like how Wi-Fi works, AC and heating, water, electric, you know, does the apartment come with blinds, was like one of the questions that I had. Lighting in the apartment, like a lot of apartments in New York City don't have overhead lights and you just like use lamps and stuff, so like those kinds of questions are important to know, obviously, before you move in, and you want to like go in with your broker or when you go on a tour and have like a list of questions prepared. So this has been very rambly and all over the place. I do apologize, but I hope that answers everybody's questions in terms of apartments in New York City. Please leave any more questions you have below, and I will do my best to answer all of them to the best of my abilities. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye!